look, some of what I put on the air is BS. You know, who are we kidding? Not all of it is true, and I appreciate support. It's not all true. What I put on is strange, and it's different, and it's chancy, and it's weird, or it's mainstream. A lot of times I'll go that way too, but it's out there on the edge. Now, a lot of it is true, and a lot of it is stuff you don't hear in the mainstream media, but a lot of it's probably BS too. I don't know. I try and stay out on the edge and let you hear things that you don't hear elsewhere. That's the magic to the program, I believe.
Dear Miss Bell, please, sir, you must listen to me. I have met a vampire on the Internet, and for the last few days now I've been afraid to sleep because of what might happen to me in my dreams. It appears this vampire is using the net as a way to meet its victims. It also appears this particular vampire doesn't drink blood, but it does try to seduce you so it can steal your body for one of its demonic friends. On the night this all happened, I was so scared that I locked up the house, got out a white bar of soap, and marked all my windows with crosses. Here is a transcript of what occurred on the Internet. It is 2 pages and double typed, so I'll be able to get through it here quickly. I was in this chat room, a kind of cyber singles bar located on the web. I was contacted by what I believe to be a female who introduced herself as Claudia. She told me she was a vampire, asked me if I wanted to chat. First, I thought it was some kind of stupid joke, so I agreed to chat. She sent me a description of herself. Here we go, right? Told me she liked to dress up in black skin-tight spandex bodysuits with black knee-high, high-heeled leather boots and black leather gloves. She described herself as looking as if she was 17, but actually she was much older. She said she had white, almost pale-colored skin, long dark hair, big brown eyes, long slender legs, and a small oval face. Sounds cute, huh? I asked her if she was going to suck my blood or something, and she told me real vampires don't do that. She said that if I wanted her, I mean really wanted her, that I would give her my soul. I said, okay. She said that tonight she would come to me in my dreams, and that tonight I would be a king. She also told me if I wanted it, that she could come to me in any form, male or female. I told her I loved women and that she would do just fine. She said that tonight I would journey to the other world. She said that tonight I would be king. Tomorrow I would be one of them. She told me the land of the dead and the world of dreams are one and the same. I was then told to remove any religious symbols or pictures and Christian Bibles from my room. I was told that, if possible, I should leave some access to my room open. I was also told that she had some problems going through doors, windows, and walls. I was even told that the sex could be 10 times better if I would just take the time to break an egg into a small bowl and then urinate on it. I was told I should sprinkle some urine on my feet before I went to bed at night. Yuck. I was told that the bowl was supposed to be placed at the foot of my bed. The egg and urine were supposed to be some kind of offering. I was told the offering was being made to its Tuksamen, whoever that is, Tuksamen. She then promised me the best sex I'd ever had. She told me my orgasm would last forever, that when I awoke, I'd be in another world, a world of magic and dreams. She told me that this new world was also known as the etheric plane. She told me when she came for me, my soul would leave my body. She said that once I was in her arms, she'd break the fine silver cord attached to the top of my head, and that my body would be given to another, someone much stronger. Finally, she said that the other name for this person, this Tuksamen, was the soul sucker. That's it. Then I received these. Art, remember a few shows ago when you read a fax on the air, said that it was from someone who said they'd met a vampire on the internet somewhere on IRC? Well, I'll tell you, I've been hunting for her because I want to ask her some questions. And I won't do anything to get myself, quote, in trouble, end quote. Yeah, right. Believe me. Well, that guy said her name was Claudia, and I went into a vampire room and asked someone if they'd seen her. They have vampire rooms? Anyway, he said he spoke to her yesterday. Maybe it's the same Claudia or not, but I think it is, and I'll keep you posted. By the way, that night when you read the fax, I really couldn't and didn't want to sleep. It was kind of frightening to me. And then this. Your listener who sent the account of the Internet vampire is indeed doomed. This particular vampire is an incubus or succubus, a sexual predator who steals souls from unknowing individuals, draining them like the classic vampire. Usually, they can be warded off with any religious symbol as long as the faith of the user is strong. In other words, a cross won't work if you don't believe in God. I hope Dominique in Washington is well. So, there you've got it. The old, the ancient, the occult moves to the new, the amazing, the enveloping Internet. Truly a marriage made in hell. Let us see what we've got here on my vampire line. You are on the air.
Good morning, Art. This is Wade.
Wade.
Sarasota, Florida.
Sarasota.
WKXY.
Ah, yes.
My policy began March 6th, 1996 in New Orleans at a place called The Dungeon.
That's where you met somebody, I take it?
Just the most amazing place, the most amazing thing that ever happened to me.
What was it? Tell us.
Walked in, beautiful gals, white skin, black lips, dark eyes, dark hair, and it was, 4 flights up, and it was the most amazing club I've ever been into, and things started to happen from there. And it's been...
All right, now obviously, don't get into anything pornographic, if you can, right? Please.
Of course.
But, I mean, what happened to you?
A feeling of... euphoria is the only thing I can say.
Euphoria, yeah.
It was something that was just totally beyond anything I had ever expected. I'm 42.
Were you seduced?
Absolutely.
Did you promise your soul in return for this seduction?
No. It was just one thing one thing led to another, and I have witnesses, and it's just...
Well, you're saying a lot of things without saying anything. I want you to tell me what happened.
Rather personal, it's and without getting pornographic, rather personal. It's just a...
All right, well, look, from what I read, this letter that I read from the Internet, it seemed quite clear that the seduction was occurring to obtain that person's soul. And that was the trade-off.
I don't have a soul. I had a soul up to March 6th.
Oh, so you're saying
something happened.
You're saying you have lost your soul.
Something has happened. I've been like in a bad limbo, a bad karma situation. It's just, but at the same time, it's the most pleasurable thing that you can imagine.
That's exactly what this other person said. Are you not concerned for your soul?
Being a Christian, as I have been my whole life, nah.
Nah? Nah. He says he's lost his soul and he's not concerned. He's lost his soul and he's not concerned. Did you hear that? To my vampire line. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
I can give you several bits of proof. I I tell you the industry that I'm in right now. I'm in the telemarketing industry, and I touch base with
somewhat vampire-like, actually.
hundreds of people
Yes.
every day. Bob Keats, who's a well-known author, is a personal friend of mine.
All right. Well, I don't want to identify you too closely. You're telling us you really are a vampire.
I really am a vampire.
All right. First of all, what
Let me clear up a couple of things, though.
Please. In other words, what is a vampire? So we all might understand. You heard the facts I read, I take it, on the Internet deal?
I'm afraid that I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry you didn't hear that. All right. Well, anyway, go ahead.
First of all, I have the ability to suck blood through fangs that I naturally have. However, I don't need to do that. As far as things like garlic, other things like that, sunshine, that's all a bunch of BS.
Yeah, I suspected that might be.
It doesn't hurt you at all.
Doesn't, huh?
As far as super strength and super adrenaline, that's absolutely true.
How about crosses and Bibles?
It actually has, it depends on your inner self and your own belief and your own faith and your level, within the cult. But actually, that shouldn't be too much of a hindrance either.
Are you in what you would call a cult?
I'm not in a cult. But I will say this. There are certain projections from my existence that do affect, on a cosmic level sometimes, different events that unfold as a direct result of situations that have been imposed on me in a negative manner. Negative energy feeds on negative energy.
Uh-huh.
And the darker and the deeper the negative energy is, the more power that comes out of that negative energy.
When a vampire takes from another, is a vampire taking the soul of that, or what we know to be, or think of us as a soul?
As a vampire, I can define for you the actual definition of a soul. Every living thing on the planet is surrounded by an electromagnetic field.
Uh-huh. I believe that.
When you die, that electromagnetic field is released from your vessel. Housed within that energy is the essence of your soul.
Your essence.
Whether you're recycled into the vast electromagnetic field created by the core of the Earth, whether you escape the Earth and you go to the solar system, the center of electromagnetic energy in our solar system, and you're not going to believe this, but this is true. Jupiter has a great effect in this realm.
Well, what we're asking here, obviously, is, and I appreciate that definition. I don't necessarily disbelieve that. But are you able to interfere with that transition and, in effect, take that energy or that essence from a person?
Absolutely, 100%. You can actually feed on this energy. It is a massive energy. It affects computer systems. It affects electrical circuitry. It affects the photoelectric cells in street lights. It affects psychological behavior in humans.
Do you regard yourself as evil? You mentioned darkness, the darkness. Evil?
If you walk out into a dark pasture and you don't feel afraid,
yes,
does that make you evil because you're surrounded by darkness and you feel comfortable?
I'm not sure how to answer that. So you're saying it's subjective?
Absolutely.
All right. I really appreciate your call. Thank you. And that gives me something to think about. It is subjective. Evil is subjective, is it? Is evil subjective? I never thought so. I thought evil was a real, tangible thing. But I can understand that those who are involved in it, if taking of the essence of another makes you more powerful or immortal, then from his point of view, it is a subjective thing. So he wouldn't likely call it, or a vampire would not likely call it evil, would they? A wildcard line, you're on the air.
Art?
Yes.
Oh, good. God, I've been dialing both numbers, and I didn't know which one I had. This is from Phoenix, Arizona, KFYI.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I heard Donna Shalala on the TV tonight saying that it was illegal for kids to smoke. Now, it's not illegal for kids to smoke. It's illegal for them to buy cigarettes.
That's correct.
How can she say that it's illegal for them to smoke?
Well, she just said it. It's not.
Oh, okay. If they're not doing anything with the drug problem, how can they do anything with the cigarette problem?
Well, it's good politics, they think.
Somebody's out in left field somewhere.
Well, you see, President Clinton already knows he's dead meat down in the South. They don't like him.
I'm sure they don't.
Okay, well, in the Carolinas and tobacco-growing country, he's not going to get many votes anyway, so he figured, what the hell? Everybody thinks kids should not smoke. It's like coming out for motherhood. It's good.
All right, I'm 64 years old. I started smoking when I was 13. I hate to admit that, but I did. And right now, there's nothing at all wrong with me. My lungs are all right. I have no problem with smoking.
Yeah, I know. I went to the doctor the other day, and he listened to my lungs. He said, you're clear.
Yeah,
but I want to try to quit. I want to try.
Well, I probably, if they were addictive as much as they say they are, my God, I'd be smoking about 4 cartons a day.
Well, I'm not sure addictive in the sense that you always need more.
Well, they say it's addictive. It's like the drugs are addictive. The more you take, the more you need.
Yeah, but believe me, sir, if I took what do you smoke? Pack and a half?
I smoke 3 packs a day.
Oh, my. Well, if I were to take those away from you,
yes,
you'd become a screaming, raving maniac.
I have quit for 3 or 4 days at a time.
Yeah. And I bet you were screaming, raving.
No, sir, I was not. No. My wife puts up with me. I wasn't screaming or a raving maniac or anything else. By the way, I think you're right about Buchanan against Perot.
Well, what do you mean against Perot?
Well, I mean, I think Buchanan would be the better
of the two. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the man to put up instead of Perot. I
don't think that's the question. I think, thank you, sir, is he the man to put up instead of Dole? And I would rather see Pat Buchanan than I would Bob Dole. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not excited about either one.
All right, this is one that I get. I think I get it every day, actually, and this is kind of adult-oriented, but it's the Good Luck Mr. Gorsky story about the first man upon the moon. And
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong, yes.
And that for some reason, that one's really been making the rounds again lately. And
big time.
And yeah, we'll try to go through this delicately, Art, but the story basically is that when Neil Armstrong, when man walked on the moon back in 1969, of course, there was the famous saying that's one small step for a man and one giant leap for mankind.
That's right.
That if you study the transcripts, that the next thing uttered by Neil Armstrong, it was "Good luck, Mr. Gorsky." And then he goes on to talk about technical things up on the moon. And for years, people tried to dissect, what did he mean with this "Good luck, Mr. Gorsky" deal? And there were theories that maybe that was a Russian.
Before we go on, did he actually say that?
No, he didn't.
He did not say that.
He did not. And in fact, I've obtained the NASA transcripts, and your enterprising listeners who know their way around the internet can get access even there to the actual transcripts of what happened. What he said after that was, a lot of technical terms just about, how the surface of the moon felt and things like that, and kind of describing the feeling of being on the moon. But the supposed comment about Mr. Gorsky has just lived on in infamy, and some people thought, well, he must be signaling a Russian cosmonaut, and others said, well, it has to mean something deeper than that. And according to the urban legend, just a few years ago, there was supposedly a press conference where a young reporter asked Neil Armstrong at maybe a NASA reunion party or something.
That's right.
And he said, well, gosh, it's been so long, I'll finally tell the truth about this story. And the story goes that a young Neil Armstrong growing up in Ohio was playing ball in his backyard, and the ball went into the next-door neighbor's yard, and he hopped the fence, and the ball was right underneath the bedroom window of his next-door neighbor. And when he went to pick up the ball, young Neil heard his neighbor, the male, asking his wife for a certain sexual favor, and her retort to him was, you'll get that the day the kid next door walks on the moon. So that's why he said, good luck, Mr. Gorsky, because he said, okay, you're going to get lucky. Now, the reality is that there was never any such press conference where this question was asked, and that Neil Armstrong has never told the real story, because there is no real story. And one of the fun things about this book was trying to track these down as best as I could, so I called NASA. And, of course, they'd heard the story before, and I happened to have Mr. Armstrong's home number, and he's kind of a press-shy fellow. You know, to his credit, Neil Armstrong is not a guy who's done a lot of Pop-Tart commercials and stuff over the years.
He's actually kind of a mysterious fellow in a lot
of ways. He really is.
Yeah.
He really is. And the folks at NASA strongly advised me that I probably wouldn't want to waste my time bothering this guy with the story. And I said, you know, out of all due respect to the guy, I'm going to let it go because we know it's not true. But I was very tempted to call him up and say, hey, it's Gorsky calling. Stop spreading the story about me.
I just wanted to thank you, Neil. So that one, I mean, I literally get that one every day. That one is really back up and going.
Yeah, and once again, because of the Internet. I think if not for the Internet, some of these stories might finally die out, but they just keep getting reborn. And you'd think that especially, you know, the younger people who are so cynical about, you know, don't believe everything you read or don't, you know, believe half of what you hear.
Just one question I want to ask.
Yes.
Are you going to be having any guests on pretty soon?
What guest?
Something about UFOs. You know, this moment, I just got to express my opinion real quick right here. Y'all, you have this girl who said she had sex with a lizard, right?
Pamela.
Yeah. I mean, you're wasting your time with that lady. You know damn well that's not true. You know.
How do you know it's not true?
Is it an alien lizard?
That's what she said.
Oh man, she got to get off the acid. She need to stay off the acid.
You think so, huh?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for the call. Trucker number 1.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, I'm calling about the Chupacabra.
Yes.
Well, today I'm in junior high in 8th grade.
You're in 8th grade, all right.
I was sitting in my Spanish class, and I asked the teacher about the Chupacabra.
Yes.
And she just started screaming at me like I was like some Satan child.
Maybe you are.
I hope not. It's a Catholic school.
Oh, I see. Well, maybe her attitude, your teacher's attitude, is it a she?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Maybe her attitude is that the Chupacabra is of the devil.
Oh, no, she had a reason. Because, she told me that I had to stay after class because I'd said this. So after class, I went to her, and she said that if you live in Mexico and you cheat on your wife, you're considered a goat. So if you're a goat sucker, it's like, well, it's kind of disgusting.
Well, that is not, in fact, what's going on in Mexico. So she had it wrong, period. It is not those who cheat who end up with the 2 little holes in their neck. What's going on in Mexico is real. And though there are a lot of jokes going around about it, the fact of the matter is there is a creature out there killing sheep, goats, chickens, and now, unfortunately of late, people, and it is attacking them. And there has been all kinds of veterinary evidence to indicate that these animals have all the blood taken from them. A lot of people said, well, it's just a bat. Well, without getting too gory, bats bite necks and then effectively lap what blood comes out up. That's how a bat does it, a vampire bat, and there are vampire bats. This is a whole new problem. This involves creatures having all of the blood removed from their bodies by whatever this damn thing is. Imagination, no. I have seen and have videotape of literally hundreds of animals that they have examined. Some not. Some they've just shaved and looked for the marks and found the 2 marks. Typically, there are 2 marks on the outside of the neck and inside 4 marks. Now, figure that one out, if you will.
Last night's program, notwithstanding, I'm telling you folks, something's going wrong with the animals. I'm getting story after story. This is tonight. Look, here's a newspaper headline. They sent me the newspaper. It's the Daily Herald. Headline, Deer crashes through Des Moines Plains office window. Bright red blood stains the walls, the carpet, and the furniture. Shards of glass scattered all around the small office. One woman's gray skirt ripped as she ran for help. Such was the debris left behind by a 3-year-old white-tailed deer who both scared and amazed employees at Snelling Staffing Services in Des Plaines. Des Plaines it is, not Des Moines. Des Plaines, Plains. I never heard of that. Anyway, when she burst through a first-floor office window Wednesday morning by happy coincidence, the woman usually who would have been working right next to the window was home caring for a sick child. But the 2-hour ordeal didn't end as happily for the beautiful but battered doe. Massive head injuries, internal bleeding, and on and on and on. Something's going on. Nearly 2 months after he was reported in New Delhi, the mysterious monkey man, have you been hearing about him? Has resurfaced in India. He's been blamed for attacks on several people there. That's the eastern part of the country. One woman told India Star TV that a 2-legged creature with a monkey's face attacked her late at night, leaving scratches on her neck and ear. At least 10 others also claimed to have been assaulted by the creature. This is more than a sighting than anything else, Art, but very unusual. A cougar was struck and killed by a motorist near Harlan, Iowa this week. Well, what's so unusual about that? Well, the last time a cougar was seen in Iowa was 1865. This is just tonight's stuff. You know, I've got about at least a dozen other stories about animals doing totally bizarre, wrong things under a full moon. But, you know, recently, something's going on, I'm telling you. Chris writes, Art, the answer to your why are the animals acting weird and erratic these days is and can be found clearly in the Bible. Revelations contains one obscure verse that reads, quote, near the end days, animals will begin to lose their natural fear of man. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
This is Paul, and I'm in San Diego.
Hello, Paul.
You mentioned you wanted to hear about a vanishing, and I have had one experience with a vanishing that has troubled me for years. And, you know, I forget about it, and then I just remembered it when
I brought it up.
When you brought it up. And I'll tell you about it. Have you ever experienced a Midwestern blizzard?
Yes.
I mean, it can be blinding.
As well as one in the Northeast. I've been in plenty of blizzards, so yes.
Well, I was a state trooper, and this was in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a car on the side of the road up to its axles in snow. And I said, come on, get in, I'll take you over to the high school. And he said, well, no, I'm going to stay with my car. I'm not under arrest, am I? I said, no, you didn't do anything. I just like to get you out of the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see a gas station. And he said, I'm going to go to the gas station. And I said, you're really not dressed for it. It's not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said, I'll be the judge of that.
Mm-hmm. You sound like officer. He sounds like citizen.
Yeah. And he takes off walking for the gas station.
Citizen, I might add, with small attitude.
Yes. Yeah, well, he is free to do what he feels like.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And so then I had a couple of other people I was trying to help, and so I did not, at the moment, I made a kind of a mental note, look for the guy in a few minutes, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Well, then I had some other people that I was helping, and I got them over to the high school.
Right.
And I came around to the station that he was going to, which was Gordy Shell Station, and I said, did a guy show up from over on the road? He said, what guy?
Yeah.
He just took off a few minutes ago to come here. And he said, no, nobody's been here. So I was troubled by it. I couldn't find him. I went back looking. I couldn't find him.
Was the car still there?
The car was there.
Okay.
So then the next day, I actually daylight checked to see where was the guy.
Sure.
And the guy is not there, but the car is there. So now the next watch puts a tag on the car.
Right.
The car sits there for about 5 days. There's no indication that anyone's in the snow. I walked up and down the snow looking for this guy because it's troubling me. You can't just disappear.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, you can.
A finite object can just evaporate.
Yes, it can.
And
it's happened all over the world, and it's reported in various ways, and people it just sort of gets it. Eventually, it falls through the cracks. I mean, somebody can just disappear, and they do. They vanish, and it's a perfect case you're telling us about.
Yeah, and the car went to a tow yard, and no one ever claimed it, and he never went home to wherever he came from. And I did get the address by
was
it
a broken down wreck, or was it a fairly new car?
It was a nice. It was I'll say a Lincoln Town car.
Oh, you wouldn't abandon one of those. All right, so you say you got his address?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never showed up, and he was missing.
and to this very day, as far as you know, still gone.
And the record, the bureaucracy shows that the car was abandoned. And he went to a gas station and apparently changed his state of detention.
I can't tell you how I appreciate your call, but that is exactly what I'm talking about. It has happened more than you know. People in this world, in the middle of their everyday lives, are apparently just plucked from life, pulled instantly from life. As in a total disappearing act, it has happened more than once.
Wild Card Line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, Art.
Yes, sir.
Why in the world should we not re-legalize drugs?
For the very reason that we made them illegal in the first place.
Well, we only made selected drugs illegal in the first place. We have a whole class of legalized drug lords walking into Congress and lying to them. We have a partnership for a so-called drug-free America who's propped up by the alcohol and tobacco and pharmaceutical lobby.
Well, the basic argument for not legalizing drugs, sir, is simple. We'd have a lot of druggies, people hooked on drugs, screwing up the productivity of the country, costing us billions of dollars in more medical treatment, blah, 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 on it goes. So,
like alcoholics and guys who can't quit smoking.
You're damn right. You're damn right. Only worse.
Only worse.
Yep. Is that it?
I guess I don't understand the line of thought why we subsidize one bunch of drug lords and throw the rest of them in jail.
All right. Well, that's right. You don't understand. Why don't we legalize drugs? Because we would have a bunch of people hooked on very nasty drugs. Want to legalize PCP? Heroin? Crack? Have you lost your mind? Don't you know what kind of America you would have if you did that? So your arguments fall down like so many 10 pins with a well-placed strike. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work. Talk about the decriminalization of marijuana, separating it from the other drugs? Yes, maybe. Legalizing all hard drugs? No. I'm sorry. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Art, this is Robert, New Orleans.
Hello, Robert.
How do you do,
That's Ann Rice country.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about some of these people telling themselves vampires.
Uh-huh.
First, a vampire can't take the soul unless you're willing to give it to him.
I believe that's right, yes.
That is exactly true, if folklore is right.
Did you hear the man, though, who called earlier and said that he had been in a certain club there in New Orleans, as a matter of fact?
That's what I'm going to tell you about. I had my bachelor party there.
You did?
There was 25 of us who, in the condition we were in, could have took the soul if they wanted it.
In other words, if she'd been pretty enough, and she would have been after that many beers or whatever.
Oh, that's right, pal. They could have just grabbed up a bunch of us in a heartbeat.
You'd have taken one look at her, you'd have said, yes! And she'd have said, soul, and you'd have said, yes, sure!
And there's not even 4 floors to the place. It's a little small place on the corner.
Uh-huh.
It's not big enough to be something like that. Now, a bunch of strange people hang out there.
No, wait a minute. This is no rap on the place. This is simply where he met that person, that's all.
Well, I don't believe that for a heartbeat. I mean, I go down there, I live here, I go in the quarter all the time.
So you're trying to tell me you do think it's a place?
No, they could. Not for vampires, it wouldn't be.
Oh.
They wouldn't put it on.
Well, yeah, but you see, a vampire really could be anywhere. A vampire could be on the internet. A vampire could be in a club. A vampire could be somebody you'd meet in the grocery store, for all I know.
No, this is voodoo country. Vampires.
I know it is.
Like in our voodoo.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah.
Because we're protected by all the gree around the place, supposedly.
Uh-huh.
Now this is where zombies come from, or people are put under spells to do certain things. Not really for...
Do you believe that about New Orleans? I mean, is it that mystical a place?
It is to some people, and a lot of people want to believe that, and it draws a lot of tourists because of it. But,
I'll bet. I mean, but do you believe
like it used to be.
It's not like it used to be.
No. Now it's just a real big party town. And we're waiting for you to come here.
Well, I'm going to be doing that.
You said you're going to come down for Mardi Gras one of these years. You got to come.
And I'm going to. Yes, I'm going to. But you need to understand, they chain me here.
I believe that.
I'm chained to my chair here.
Well, one day I'm going to come out that way when I'm heading back to Hawaii to visit some relatives, and we're going to stop by around your area.
Then I also believe that when I die, they're going to lop off my head using new technology, mount me in a box, put me in front of a microphone, and make me talk forever. Thanks for the call, sir.
All righty, bye-bye.
Oh, God. You know, one of the most offensive shows that I ever had, it offended so many people. I wish I could find the guy again. I'd have him on again. He claimed that it absolutely was possible to separate the head from the body and keep as the body dies, and keep the head alive. And he came on and he talked for, I think it was 2 hours about that. How it could be scientifically achieved, and you could literally live forever as the body deteriorated, which it does. The head could be kept alive. A living head. Think about that. Now to my vampire line. You are on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Good morning.
Before we start, I'd like to say one thing. After 15 years of Coast to Coast, it's about time you got around to us.
Well, I know. It is one of those things that I don't know how I've overlooked you suckers. But apparently I have, and that is now over. As you can see, this morning we're doing vampires, and so tell us about it. You claim you are a vampire, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's hear your story, vamp.
Well, I became a vampire on June 8th, 1966. I was approximately 25 years old at the time.
June 8th,
I was seduced by a female, and ever since then I have had to survive off of feeding off of other people.
All right. Without giving me the no doubt titillating details of the seduction, would it be fair to say that she traded herself to you for your soul?
Yeah, that would be a fair estimate.
I mean, was there actually Were you bitten? I don't even know if biting is the right word. I don't even know if that physical act occurs. Now, you heard the nurse before this hour. She said she drank blood.
Yes, the drinking blood part is optional. It depends on how you get your nourishment. You can feed off of blood, souls, or emotions.
Blood, souls, or emotions. So you can literally take the essence, then, of another person.
Yes.
And what does that do for you? It nourishes you. It makes you stronger. It makes you immortal. What does it do?
It does all that. It gives you your nourishment, and it's addictive. You cannot get by without it.
I've heard that. There have been strange, obscure stories in the news. There was a story, for example, about a wife who I think was killed by her husband, who had seen a movie about vampirism and actually drank his wife's blood.
That's entirely possible. Some people get into it just because of a mental state or implanted thought. Mm-hmm. Others have no choice.
Don't you think that what you're doing, do you regard what you're doing as evil?
I suppose that all depends on which part of it you take. If you actually take a life, or if you deprive somebody of their soul, yes, I consider it evil.
And if you feed on their emotions, if you feed on their being, that is not evil?
I suppose it could be considered evil, but you leave them whole also.
All right, back on June 8th, 1966, did this woman tell you what she was doing?
In a roundabout way, yes. She did not come right out and say it.
Then how do you know it happened?
Afterwards, it was brought to my attention rather abruptly.
Are you then compelled?
Yes, you are. Like I said, you have no choice. You become addicted. And you have to feed it.
That's odd. I appreciate your call. Thank you. All right, there's another one. You know, there have been novels written, Anne Rice writes them. We will do this subject on Dreamland coming up this Sunday. I am never disappointed in this audience. I mean, if you stick with it long enough, you're going to get the real thing. I mean, if there is really such a thing as vampires, and whether there is or not, it seems like an awful lot of people believe that there is, and that they are such a thing. Isn't that something? Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Well, I wanted the Antichrist line, but I'll have to do with this.
You'll have to make do.
Yes, Rittmeister Gerhardt, conservative in California.
Actually, any line you use could be called that.
Yes, and it's not what I called about, but I will say, since it has come up, that the war on drugs is nothing less than a war on American civil liberties, period.
No, it's more than that. It is that. It is obviously a war on civil liberties, and they are going to suffer as we continue the war on drugs, but it is more than just a war on civil liberties.
The war on drugs must die, because drugs are going to win. Now, I don't use anything, well, see, I use caffeine. Now, that's a drug. I use marijuana occasionally, but that's a beneficial herb. It's far from being an addictive drug.
You use marijuana?
Yes, sir. Now, I feel that, since we are no longer being eaten by lions and tigers and bears and other predators, that if people wish to commit suicide by using stupid things like heroin and cocaine, I feel that the human genetic pool is better served that these stupid people commit suicide. We would have far fewer liberals, for instance. But I know that Houston is online as I speak. So I'd like to send a shout-out to the so-called Christian identity types like Jeff in Houston who are listening. Jeff, you're a culturally confused white boy. On one hand, you badmouth Jews up, down, and sideways, but on the other hand, you buy, lock, stock, and barrel, the Bible, which is a book of Jewish mythology, and you worship this phony Yahweh, which is the god of the ancient Jews. Now that's sick.
All right, well, why don't you let people worship whoever they want? I don't have a problem with that. If you want to worship $100 bills, even the new ugly ones, go do it. I don't care. Your religion, your faith, that's your business. And I wouldn't endeavor to do what this man just did, no doubt under the influence of the leaf. Taking a blast at somebody's faith. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing people like this on the air. However weird it may be, a person's faith is their faith, and I don't want to sit here and argue about it. It's dumb. It's a waste of time. It's like racism.
Let's do the Rockies. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, Art, I've got one for you. Have you ever had a call about a haunted restroom?
A haunted restroom?
Yeah.
No, I can honestly say I don't believe so.
Okay. This happened to myself and my new bride on Christmas Day of 2003. And neither of us really realized what was happening until we compared notes a few minutes later. We were out on a tour out on the island of Corregidor, just a short distance from you there.
Took that very same tour, yes.
Okay. Then we were on the Jeep, little tour shuttle they have there, and we toured the area that I guess they call Battery Row.
That's right.
Right, and there's a little public restroom there. Okay. And basically what happened is, we had a nice time on the tour there, and everybody loaded onto the Jeep, and, the call of nature came to me, and I had to go then. So I went into this place and took care of my business, and just before I went out, this loud, booming voice came out, so loud that it kind of echoed inside of that place.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very low, commanding voice, just said, "Out of here."
Out of here? Well, hey, I'd have no problem obeying that command instantly.
Yeah,
I would be so out of there.
But,
absolutely. Corregidor, as you well know, sir, is a terribly haunted place. I was there, and I could...
station there, yeah.
Yeah, I could feel it all around me. Corregidor is astounding. So if any of you ever get to Southeast Asia and you have the opportunity to visit Corregidor, it's something you don't want to miss. I mean, it truly is an extremely haunted, extremely unusual... what are the right words? Words are always hard to come by, but at any rate, a very difficult place to tolerate in a lot of ways, because you know what went on there. It's being explained to you, and you're seeing it with your own eyes, and you can just feel it. There's really no power on the island of Corregidor, but all that went on there is still in some way happening.